English 1A, Reading and Composition. Today's lecture is on sentence style, parallelism, needed words, and problems with modifiers. If two or more ideas are parallel, they are easier to grasp when expressed in parallel grammatical form. Single words should be balanced with single words, phrases with phrases, clauses with clauses. Writers often use parallelism to create emphasis. Example, in matters of principle, stand like a rock. In matters of taste, swim with the current. Thomas Jefferson. Balance parallel ideas in a series. Readers expect items in a series to appear in parallel grammatical form. When they do not, a sentence will be needlessly awkward. Example, Impressionist painters believed in focusing on ordinary subjects, capturing the effects of light on those subjects, and to use short brushstrokes. Revision. Impressionist painters believed in focusing on ordinary subjects, capturing the effects of light on those subjects, and using short brushstrokes. The revision uses ing forms for all of the items in the series: focusing, capturing, and using. Balance parallel ideas presented as pairs. When pairing ideas, underscore their connection by expressing them in similar grammatical form. Paired ideas are usually connected in one of these ways: with a coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or, with a pair of correlated conjunctions such as either, or not only but also, with a word introducing a comparison, usually than or as. Parallel ideas link with coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions and, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet link ideas of equal importance. When those ideas are closely parallel in content, they should be expressed in parallel grammatical form. Example, many states are reducing property taxes for homeowners and extend financial aid in the form of tax credit to renters. Revision. Many states are reducing property taxes for homeowners and extending financial aid in the form of tax credits to renters. The revision balances the verb reducing and the verb extending. Parallel ideas link with correlative conjunctions. Correlative conjunctions come in pairs: either or, neither nor, not only but also, both, and whether or. Make sure that the grammatical structures following the second half of the pair is the same as that following the first half. Example, the clerk told me either to change my flight or take the train. Revision. The clerk told me either to change my flight or to take the train. To change, which follows either, should be balanced with to take, which follows or. Comparisons linked with than or as. In comparisons linked with than or as, the elements being compared should be expressed in parallel grammatical structure. Example, it is easier to speak in abstractions than grounding one's thoughts in reality. Revision. It is easier to speak in abstractions than to ground one's thoughts in reality. To speak is balanced with to ground. When you are quoting from a source, parallel grammatical structure such as writing, keeping helps create continuity between your sentence and the words from the source. Comparisons should also be logical and grammatically complete. Repeat function words to clarify parallels. Function words such as prepositions by, to, and subordinating conjunctions that, because signal the grammatical nature of the word group to follow. Be sure to include them whenever they signal parallel structures that readers might otherwise miss. Example, our studies reviewed that left-handed students were more likely to have trouble with classroom desks and rearranging desks for exam periods was useful. Revision. Our study revealed that left-handed students were more likely to have trouble with classroom desks and that rearranging desks for exam periods was useful. A second subordinating conjunction helps readers sort out the two parallel ideas that left-handed students have trouble with classroom desks and that rearranging desks was useful. Needed words. Sometimes writers leave out words intentionally and the meaning of the sentence is not affected. Sometimes leaving out words can make the sentence ungrammatical. Readers need to see at a glance how the parts of a sentence are connected. Add words needed to complete compound structures. In compound structures, words are often left out for economy. Tom is a man who means what he says and says what he means. Such omissions are acceptable as long as the omitted words are common to both parts of the compound structure. If a sentence defies grammar or idiom, put the word back in. Example, successful advertisers target customers whom they identify through demographic research or have purchased their product in the past. Revision. Successful advertisers target customers whom they identify through demographic research or who have purchased their products in the past. The word who must be included because whom have purchased is not grammatically correct. Note, even when the omitted word is common to both parts of the compound structure, occasionally it must be repeated to avoid ambiguity. My favorite professor and mentor influenced my choice of a career. Professor and mentor are the same person. My favorite professor and my mentor influenced my choice of a career. Professor and mentor are two different people. My must be repeated. Add the word that if there is any danger of misreading without it. If there is no danger of misreading, the word that may be omitted when it introduces a subordinate clause. The value of a principle is the number of things it will explain. Occasionally, however, a sentence might be misread without that. Example, in his famous obedient experiment, psychologist Stanley Milgram discovered ordinary people were willing to inflict physical pain on strangers. Revision, in his famous obedience experiments, psychologist Stanley Milgram discovered that ordinary people were willing to inflict physical pain on strangers. Milgram didn't discover ordinary people. He discovered that ordinary people were willing to inflict pain on strangers. The word that tells readers to expect a clause, not just ordinary people, as the direct object of discovered. Add words needed to make comparisons logical and complete. Comparisons should be made between items that are alike. To compare unlike items is illogical and distracting. The forests of North America are much more extensive than those of Europe. Forests must be compared with forests, not with all of Europe. Sometimes the word other must be inserted to make a comparison logical. Example, Jupiter is larger than any planet in our solar system. Revision, Jupiter is larger than any other planet in our solar system. Jupiter is a planet and it cannot be larger than itself. Sometimes the word as must be inserted to make a comparison grammatically complete. Example, the city of Lowell is as old, if not older, than the neighboring city of Lawrence. Revision, the city of Lowell is as old as, if not older than, the neighboring city of Lawrence. The construction as old is not complete without a second as old as, the neighboring city of Lawrence. Comparisons should be complete enough to ensure clarity. The reader should understand what is being compared. Incomplete. Brand X is less salty. Complete. Brand X is less salty than brand Y. Finally, comparisons should leave no confusion for readers. If more than one interpretation is possible, revise the sentence to state clearly which interpretation you intend. In the following ambiguous sentence, two interpretations are possible. Ambiguous. Ken helped me move more than my roommate. Ken helped me more than he helped my roommate. Clear. Ken helped me more than my roommate did. Add the articles a, and the where necessary for grammatical completeness. It is not always necessary to repeat articles with paired items. We brought a computer and printer. However, if one of the items requires a and the other requires an, both articles must be included. Example, we brought a computer and antivirus program. Revision, we brought a computer and an antivirus program. Articles are sometimes omitted in recipes and other instructions that are meant to be followed while they are being read. In nearly all other forms of writings, whether formal or informal, such omissions are inappropriate. Modifiers, whether they are single word phrases or clauses, should point clearly to the words they modify. As a rule, related words should be kept together. Put limiting modifiers in front of the words they modify. Limiting modifiers such as only, even, almost, nearly, and just should appear in front of a verb only if they modify the verb. At first, I couldn't even touch my toes, much less grasp them. If modifiers limit the meaning of some other words in a sentence, they should be placed in front of that word. Example, the cathedral commissioned by Charles IV in the mid-14th century almost took 6 centuries to complete. Revision, the cathedral commissioned by Charles IV in the mid-14th century took almost 6 centuries to complete. Almost limits the meaning of 6 centuries, not took. Place phrases and clauses so that readers can see at a glance what they modify. Although phrases and clauses can appear at some distance from the words they modify, make sure your meaning is clear. When phrases or clauses are oddly placed, obscure meaning can result. Replaced. The soccer player returned to the clinic where he had undergone emergency surgery in 2009 in a limousine sent by Adidas. Revised. Traveling in a limousine sent by Adidas, the soccer player returned to the clinic where he had undergone surgery in 2009. The revision corrects the false impression that the soccer player underwent emergency surgery in a limousine. Occasionally, the placement of a modifier leads to an ambiguity, a squinting modifier. If such a case, 2 revisions will be possible, depending on the writer's intended meaning. Ambiguous. The exchange student we met for coffee occasionally questioned us about our latest slang. Clear. The exchange students we occasionally met for coffee questioned us about our latest slang. Clear. The exchange students we met for coffee questioned us occasionally about our latest slang. In the original version, it was not clear whether the meeting or the questioning happened occasionally. Both revisions eliminate the ambiguities. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 will continue shortly.